The chief priest was summoned and asked to speak with the gods, but the chief priest informed them that the gods are angry with them for misjudging and chasing away the only one that can save them from the horrible drought. The elders were confused and asked the chief priest about what he was saying, but the chief priest immediately left the gathering. In a small village in the heart of Yorubaland, a couple named Adesuwa and Rasheed had been married for 15 years but remained childless. They had prayed and sought medical help, but nothing seemed to work. The couple was heartbroken, but they never lost hope that one day their prayers would be answered. One day, Adesuwa discovered that she was pregnant. The couple was overjoyed and thanked the gods for finally blessing them with a child. As the months passed, Adesuwa's belly grew bigger, and the couple eagerly awaited the arrival of their baby. After a long and difficult labor, Adesuwa gave birth to a baby boy. However, when the midwife held the baby up for the couple to see, they were shocked to see that he had a monkey-like face. The couple was taken aback by the appearance of their son, but embraced him with love nonetheless. They named him Bayo. As word of Bayo's unusual appearance spread throughout the village, the villagers began to whisper and gossip about the couple and their cursed child. Adesuwa and Rasheed were hurt by the cruel words and stares directed towards their son, but remained determined to protect and care for him. Despite the discrimination and ridicule he faced from the villagers, Bayo grew up to be a kind and generous child. He would spend hours playing with the village children, who eventually grew to accept and love him for who he was. He is so adventurous that he knows the length and breadth of every forest in the village in a short period. Most times, the villagers would mock him for his forest adventures, saying that he belongs there, so it doesn't surprise them that Bayo knows the forest more than any normal person in the village. They even make sure he is constantly reminded that he is different from all of them, but Bayo didn't pay attention to any villagers. Instead, he focused on what brings his happiness, which are adventures. On a sunny day, while Bayo was walking through the village to one of the forests to get some food for himself, he saw two men harassing an old lady and stole her money. The old lady cried for help and Bayo rushed to the scene. As he was fighting one of the men, the other man quickly hit him with the old lady's stick and put half of the stolen money into Bayo's pocket. After the duo took to their heels, Bayo regained consciousness and found the old woman lying unconsciously on the ground. As he was about to pick her up, some villagers along with the two men that attacked the old woman came to the scene and pointed accusing fingers at Bayo. Bayo tried to tell them that it was the two men that tried to steal the money, but the duo gave a story opposite to what Bayo is explaining to the villagers. The villagers got so angry that they beated Bayo and reported him to the council of elders. Despite Bayo's innocent pleas, the council decided to banish him along with his parents out of the village. That was how Bayo and his parents were banished out of the village and forced to live in one of the forest. One day, a terrible drought struck the village, leaving the crops withered and the animals thirsty. The villagers began to panic as their food supply dwindled, and they prayed for a miracle to save them from starvation. This went on for several months, but still no response from the gods. The chief priest was summoned and asked to speak with the gods, but the chief priest informed them that the gods are angry with them for misjudging and chasing away the only one that can save them from the horrible drought. The elders were confused and asked the chief priest about what he was saying, but the chief priest immediately left the gathering. As they pondered on what the chief priest meant, the old woman that was attacked by the two men, out of nowhere approached the elders and advised them to apologize and bring back Bayo because he is the one that the elders were talking about. She even narrated how Bayo saved her from the two men that harassed her and called for the two men to be punished. The villagers, on hearing that, regretted what they did to Bayo in the past because of his monkey-like appearance. The elders, on hearing what the old woman had said, organized a search party for Bayo and his family. For years, they searched, but all was fertile as no one knew the whereabouts of Bayo and his family. Back in the forest, Bayo heard about the drought and watched how the village suffered, and his heart was filled with compassion for his people. He remembered the stories his parents had told him about how he was destined for greatness, and he knew that now was the time to fulfill his destiny. After so many years, Bayo approached the village elders, who were shocked and at the same time happy to see him, and told them that he possessed a secret power to create anything out of nothing. The elders were shocked at this revelation and inquired on how it is possible, and Bayo told them a story of how his father Rasheed, who was a fearless hunter then, saved a rare antelope from one of his traps. The antelope was bleeding at its leg, and despite being hungry, Rasheed released the antelope from its trap and nursed its wounds. Not long after, the antelope turned into a beautiful spirit. The spirit then thanked Rasheed for saving her from his trap and tending to her wounds. As a reward, the spirit blessed Rasheed's barren wife with a child that will possess the power of creation. So that was how Bayo got his powers. The elders, on hearing what Bayo has narrated, were amazed and felt ashamed of themselves for discriminating against Bayo and his parents. They asked Bayo on what he can do, and Bayo told them that he will climb the highest mountain in the village and make sure it rains cats and dogs all over the village. As Bayo walked towards the mountain, the villagers eagerly followed him just to see what he will do. Bayo climbed to the top of the mountain and chanted some incantations. After chanting, he stretched out his 2 arms. The sounds of thunder filled the sky, terrifying the villagers, and after a few seconds, it started raining heavily. The villagers rejoiced at the sound of rain, the sound they haven't heard in so many years. The villagers rejoiced and thanked the boy for saving them from certain calamity. They realized that Bayo was not cursed, but blessed with the gift of creation. The villagers apologized to Adesuwa and Rasheed for their past discrimination and begged for their forgiveness. Adesuwa and Rasheed forgave them, knowing that the villagers had finally seen the true worth of their son. Bayo became a hero in the village, revered for his powers and kindness. He grew up to be a great leader, guiding the village through times of hardship and prosperity. The 2 men, who falsely accused Bayo, were later arrested and banished from the village for harassment and false accusations. Years passed, and Bayo became a man, respected and loved by all who knew him. Adesuwa and Rasheed watched with pride as their son fulfilled his destiny and became the savior of their village. As Bayo stood before the villagers, they knelt before him in gratitude and reverence. They knew that without him, they would have perished in the drought, and they vowed to never again judge someone based on their appearance. Adesuwa and Rasheed thanked the gods for blessing them with a son who had proven to be their savior. They knew that their love for their son had triumphed over the villagers' ignorance and prejudice, and they were grateful for the lessons they had learned along the way. Bayo stood tall and proud, knowing that he had fulfilled his destiny and brought peace and prosperity to his village. He smiled at his parents, who beamed with pride, knowing that their son was truly a gift from the gods. And as the sun set over the village, a new era of hope and unity began, led by the boy who had once been scorned but had now become a beacon of light for all.